Confined spaces are enclosed areas with limited access or egress, where hazardous conditions may exist. Some common examples include tanks, silos, sewers, and tunnels. These spaces pose significant safety risks to workers and require proper safety measures to be taken to minimize hazards. Here are 20 common hazards associated with confined spaces, along with explanations for each. Lack of oxygen. Confined spaces often lack sufficient oxygen, which can lead to asphyxiation if workers do not take precautions. Toxic atmospheres. Confined spaces may contain toxic gases or other hazardous chemicals, which can cause serious health problems if inhaled. Flammable atmospheres. Some confined spaces may contain flammable substances, which can cause fires or explosions if ignited. Engulfment hazards. Workers can be engulfed by loose materials or liquids in confined spaces, which can cause suffocation or drowning. Heat stress. Confined spaces can become extremely hot, especially if there is no ventilation, which can cause heat stress and related health problems. Cold stress. Confined spaces can also be very cold, especially if they are located outdoors or in unheated areas, which can cause hypothermia or frostbite. Noise. Confined spaces can amplify noise levels, which can lead to hearing loss or other health problems. Vibration. Confined spaces may be subject to excessive vibration, which can cause injury or discomfort to workers. Tripping hazards. Confined spaces may have uneven surfaces, protruding objects, or other trip hazards that can cause workers to fall and injure themselves. Electrical hazards. Confined spaces may contain electrical equipment or wiring, which can pose electrocution hazards. Inadequate lighting. Confined spaces may have inadequate lighting, which can make it difficult for workers to see and navigate safely. Poor ventilation. Confined spaces may lack proper ventilation, which can lead to a buildup of toxic gases or other hazardous conditions. Structural collapse. Confined spaces may be structurally unsound or unstable, which can lead to collapse or other catastrophic events. Entrapment. Confined spaces may have narrow openings or other obstacles that can trap workers inside. Confined movement. Confined spaces may restrict workers' movement, making it difficult to maneuver and perform tasks safely. Communication difficulties. Confined spaces may make it difficult for workers to communicate with each other or with those outside the space. Lack of rescue equipment. Confined spaces may require specialized rescue equipment or techniques, which may not be readily available. Inadequate training. Workers may not be properly trained to work in confined spaces, which can lead to accidents or injuries. Lack of supervision. Workers may not have adequate supervision or guidance while working in confined spaces, increasing the risk of accidents. Psychological stress. Working in confined spaces can be psychologically stressful, especially for workers with claustrophobia or other fears. Overall, working in confined spaces requires careful planning, proper training, and adherence to safety protocols to minimize hazards and ensure the safety of workers.